Alright, welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode number 129. Now, for these episodes, we're discussing episodes of for the dub for One Piece, episodes 1088 to 1091. Yep. Yeah. So, interesting enough, basically, 1088 was also noteworthy for being the final episode released for Season 20. Yep, the last one. Yep, last one. Also, with basically 91, there's like 5 more to go for the first voyage of Egghead Island. Yep. So, in these episodes, well, in the case of 1088, Luffy kind of talks about his dream, which, by the way, the anime never reveals what exactly the end of his dream is. He tells it because apparently the crew didn't know, and they're like, and they all laugh at it. As for what it is, not very known. My guess is it's probably something Oda will reveal himself at some point. When? I have no idea. Yeah, though in the case of 1088, it is only the 3rd episode of the arc itself. Mostly it continues to happen last episode, where apparently most of the episode is this, aside from that, where Silver King Rayleigh showed up at Amazon Lily to take on the side of the Kaiju pirates, where basically Blackbeard was told to leave. And Boy Hancock has to undo the transformation. Of course, it's shown that the fact that she probably did that, and it's later shown that Kobe was taken by Blackbeard. There's going to be a later flashback to explain this. Of course, basically, she wants to go see Luffy, and that's the last you see of her for quite a while. Yes, this very episode in particular is her most recent appearance to date. You're like, really? Like, is this episode 1088, is that her most recent appearance today? Excuse me. Yep. As for if we're going to see her again, don't know. Would I like to? Yes. And keeping in terms of the anime, it's been almost 2 years since we last saw her. Yeah, this episode almost 2 years ago. Oh, and the episode itself covered, it finished adapting the last 2 pages of chapter 1058, pages 14 and 17 of chapter 1059, pages 3 through 9, chapter 60. Oh yeah, and also the fact that it's also revealed that Saba was accused of killing King Cobra, and that was big article. Of course, Luffy's upset with that. He, of course, probably been free from his little jail thing. It's probably was temporarily. So, then he contacts them and tells them that he's alive and he did not kill King. He did not kill King Cobra. And then the country he's in is destroyed. Yep. The Labastic Kingdom. Apparently, it's revealed that after the revelry wrapped up, when they arrived home, the king and princess were arrested by their own people because basically of their poor treatment of them. They should respect people, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And all they want is man to be released and do what they want to do. And then the island is destroyed, presumably killing everybody. Well, this is not fault, but several episodes later with this. Now, of course, Saba did reveal that he did see something with the empty throne. And that's when the 5 elders like, cut it off right now. You do not receive basically a wiretap. Because the country doesn't exist anymore. Never heard of it. Yep, and it was basically Ship Peter basically did this. Yep, and that country is destroyed. Yep, it is completely destroyed. And then start episode 1089. We're finally into season 21 of the show. Yep, season 21. And of course, we debut a new opening. 1088 is the last one to use the opening of Cinco Chasusen, which mostly put is the anime opening associated with Wano. I believe it was the second opening for Wano. Because I think it was. No, actually, this was the. I'm thinking this was the third because basically Wano started a little bit earlier than that. Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so Over the Top, that was the first one. Yep. This was the very first and it's kind of weird how they do this. Where, like, the first two episodes of the Wano arc basically continue the superpowers opening, which they have been used since episode, like, 856, which was during the Whole Cake arc, which I believe was the final. Yeah, it was the final opening for that one. And they used this throughout the entire the Red Marie arc, and then it was technically in a way the verse one. Yeah, it is. Well, it's technically the one that starts off the one arc, but the first song used is Over the Top, and then it was Dream On. Now, Over the Top was used for episodes 882 to 934. And it got placed with Dreaming On, with episodes one, quite lengthy this one. They only do it for that episode 1000. They actually used the original opening theme song for episode 1000. This was used for episodes 935 to 999 and 1000 to 1004. And then that got replaced with Paint. Paint was used for 1005 to 1027 and 1030 to 1073. You're probably thinking, what was used for 2829? This is kind of weird. They briefly replaced the opening sequence with a song called New Genesis, which is basically a song for the One Piece Red movie. Yep. And then, of course, we had this one here, Seiko Tosum, which was the final song used. So Wano went through, like, you probably think, like, how many songs did Wano go through? Like, how many songs basically with Wano itself that are not carry over? 1, 2, 3. This arc went through 4 songs. Probably that is considered to be a lot of songs to go through. And now basically they replaced it with Ups. That was basically, oh, it's Us. Yes. And this one in particular is actually here for 1089 to 1022, which is actually the first. It's basically used for release wise. For the first like 3 parts of this release for Egghead, before it gets replaced with the current one, which they're using right now. Actually, they were using it, which was Tsuga to Akuma, and then that got replaced with its current arc. Current song known as Kermine, which they started using it with 1039. Not very long, this one. So, mostly put, basically, the Aloysius Kingdom is destroyed with something called this weird thing. It's identified as a Mother Flame later on. So, then the Straw Hats basically caught in a weather storm because Destruction Kingdom basically alters the weather of the area. So, they arrive, and then they are trying to avoid the waves, and there's an eddy, Yes, an Eddie identified by Jinbei, and then Zoro cuts it, and inside is Juribani. Yep. And of course, Luffy goes after her, catches her. Of course, Chopper gets up too. Of course, they falls the ocean. Jinbei catches them, and then of course, ship goes underwater, attacked by basically a giant shark, a metal shark, mind you. Until they're rescued by a giant robot piloted by a very beautiful woman who identifies herself as Vegapunk. Well, Lilith Vegapunk, that is, and she's voiced by Madeline Morris. Those of you may or not familiar with this particular voice actress, she is the voice of Rudius from Shuko Tensei Jobless Incarnation. Yep, and also for me, basically this is, let's see if we can find, I think it's like the 14th series she's been in? I think so. Yes. Yeah, 14th series. Last one was Farine. Yep, that was the last one. But if we're continuing with this, there's a brief scene at G4, which is where the kids in Punk Hazard are at. Well, they're all basically at their medicine, and then basically Tashigi gets pulled away, just talk quietly with Admiral Dahl. Admiral Dahl here, this is actually, episode 1090, is actually her debut episode. And she's voiced by Natalie Van Sistine. Which, this actually is only the 13th series to come across, which is not really all that surprising. The last series I heard her in was actually in Why There's No Memory in This World. Yes. Where she and Tashigi talk about some stuff, and that's Last See a Doll, and of course also, the whole thing they talk about is something with Himepo, because she's with Kobe, and Kobe meets up with several other new characters here. One is Prince Gallus, Prince Gross, who is voiced by, in the English dub, Ryan Nagarin. And they also debut a few other members of SWORD, because prior to this particular episode, there's only like two or three other members of SWORD, and that being X-Drake, Kobe, and Himepo. The other members are Rear Admiral Kijiko. We do not hear her voice in this episode, but you do see her in the background. There is Commander Haori, who is voiced by Chastel Perez. Yeah, it's basically a small person group, but I think like Garp is associated with them. Yeah, and this episode is like more full, and of course, basically, Himepo was begging Prince Gallus, please help. And then you mentioned that X-Drake has disappeared. Well, they don't exactly confirm he's dead, per se. It's just that he just disappeared. We actually don't see him again to actually get this. He actually does return in the series. Yep. In a chapter that's not been depth for the anime yet. But he will return. Don't worry about that. And so, and that's it for G7. That's the last little bit of outside stuff for a little while. But we do, this arc, like in the case of Wano, does this thing where we have to cut away from the main story to basically tell world developing stuff. I think in the case of Oda, the reason why he did this with Wano and continues with Egghead, because he probably knew this arc was going to take a long time, and he probably did what he wanted people to catch up with. He also wanted to continue with the Reverie, which of course we kind of continue a little bit of that during Wano, and then we also do a little more development here in Egghead Island. So then, of course, basically Jinbei, of course, well, brings them ashore, and of course looking for food, and then they climb up basically a ladder to see Egghead Island, this gorgeous place. And in the case of Lilith, where basically she's like, I'm here to plunder your ship, and everyone's like, nope. And then she's contacted by, well, this is kind of funny. So she's contacted by a debuting new character here. Now, Lilith is Punk 2. She's contacted by Sheikah, aka Helmet. He is voiced by Marcus Lloyd, and this actually was episode was his debut appearance. in 1091. And we do have another character made debut here, so basically they're brought to wherever they are, and of course they mention, oh, we're not Stella. That's basically the main Vegapunk. And we'll get a chance to see him, don't worry about that. So, then of course Luffy sees this amazing this place, and he sees like Punch a Dragon, Hologram, and Trinity Parfait, and then they run into another Vegapunk, this being Atlas. And she's voiced by Jade Saxton. And I have to mention this because basically time that so this now, with her being this show, it is now the 37th series of her to in. Yep. Last one was actually one of my last anime I just reviewed, which was Trap and Dating Sim. Yep. Now I knew Madeline Morris basically being Lilith because there was actually a clip of this arc released on Twitter. I'm not calling X. And that's why I knew I've got to get to this arc right away because it's Madeline Morris, which I love work anyways. So Luffy tries to punch him because he thinks he's still a hologram. Then eventually, oh look, food! And of course, apparently this whole area is cold, but it's a winter island. But the only reason why it's so warm because she controls the climate. And it's like, and this of course starts a gag when it comes to Vegapunks, where all these great ideas, inventions, and we have no freaking money because they can cut our budget. Yes, that's a gag for the first part. Is that they complain about their budget because, yeah, that's something scientists do complain about. Their budget. That's a real life thing because they have all these massive inventions they want to do, but they can't patent it for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, that's pretty much basically those 4 episodes in a nutshell. This is going to be a really enjoyable arc. Now, I'm currently reading some manga right now. There's going to be about 2 manga I'm going to read. I'm going to start up about 5 new anime. Yep, 5. One of them is something people probably recommended me for a while to watch. Yes, I'll be watching that one. That'll be my 3rd one after the first 2. The first one obviously going to be My Instability is Overpowered. I'm going to talk about that soon. I'm going to read 2 more manga, and then basically I'm going to go ahead and start watching these anime. Yep, so yeah, this particular review, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have is a Comic Corner, and then I gotta do some cleaning, and then basically back here to watch more episodes of One Piece. Okay, next video. Bye.